stars are in light, the weeper, we would know.
Hello, welcome back to another Improving Sales Performance live cast. I just did a little experiment to see how live are we, and it appears that we are about 18 seconds delayed on LinkedIn. So, so what does that mean? What does that mean for you watching live right now? Here's what it means. If you have a question or a comment, something you want Matt and I to talk about, go ahead and post it. We will see it, but obviously we will not see it live. We'll see it about 18 seconds later. So there's my little opening comments. Welcome everyone to another episode of Improving Sales Performance. And this week we are focused on really the performance metrics. As a reminder, we've been doing an entire series on improving sales performance and specifically focusing in on the impact sales leadership system, where we, in the impact sales leadership system, it's about people, process, planning, and performance. And each week we've gone through and spent some time going through each one of those sections. And today is performance, specifically performance metrics that we want to look at. And to do that, I've invited someone who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, a true expert and just a fantastic person, Matt Keiger, who is currently the Regional Vice President for Townsquare Media, but I'm going to read his bio here in a second because Matt, it's very impressive and I have to do that. If you are watching, whether you're watching on LinkedIn or you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and leave us a comment. Tell us where you're watching from. I see that we have people from Virginia and Boston and Ontario, and I don't know where else we probably have people, but I'm sure people will start populating that. So that'd be great. And any other housekeeping things that I want to talk about. Oh, if you're watching on YouTube and you'd be so kind to like and subscribe and share, we would really appreciate it. But I guess only like it if you like it. Like, give it a watch, and if you like it, Stuart Ember, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you there. If you do like it, then do me a favor, like and share and subscribe, and that would be awesome. All right, let me introduce our guest today, our special guest, Matt Keiger. First of all, Matt is passionate about sales and really sales success, as well as motivating and coaching managers and salespeople to reach their goals. And I will tell you, in real life, Matt Keiger does that all the time. This is not just words on paper when it comes to Matt. This is his passion, and he's extremely good at it. His sales and management career began back at CBS. more than 15 years ago, where he grew from a digital AE to the director of digital sales. Gave him the opportunity to lead CBS into the digital space and their New York sales efforts. From CBS, he then advanced his career and his role to become the digital director at Citadel, which then became Cumulus in New York City, growing the digital audience and revenue while he was there by more than 50%. He then joined Townsquare Media 10 years ago as director of digital sales strategy and operations, and then to VP sales. And he's currently the regional vice president at Townsquare Media, and he's responsible for increasing advertising revenues across digital, broadcast, and the live event platforms. And he also has developed and was one of the founders and creators of the Townsquare University, the training curriculum that covers cross-platform sales strategy and is a true champion of their sales culture across the entire company. And I'm just lucky because I get to work with them all the time, and I absolutely love it. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing great. I can tell you the feeling is mutual. I could say all of the same great things about you and how wonderful it is to work with you and certainly CSS, but to be your friend as well. So it's great to be here. Excited.
Great. Let's jump into some of this stuff. So we're talking about performance metrics. So how would you describe performance tracking in sales beyond just, did you hit your budget?
Right. So that's the easy one, is did you hit your budget? But we have to peel back the onion a little more on that and know, what does success look like? But I heard this on one of your previous episodes, but it's a quote that you've shared and that I've taken, which is, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And those are words to live by as a salesperson, but also a sales manager. If you can't measure it, how can you manage it and evangelize around it? So to me, performance tracking is critical to success, but these are metrics by which we measure performance. Now, they're different. When I first thought performance tracking, I started thinking about number of calls, number of CNAs, discovery meetings, and all that. But it's actually more than that. But it is the scoreboard by which we measure success, and certainly important.
Yeah. So one of technology is so wonderful for so many reasons, but one of the drawbacks about technology, I guess, is that it would give us the ability, if we wanted to track a million things, right? And tracking everything would probably be a frustration. I think it would make people feel like it's a game they can never win. The goalposts are always to score. The way we keep score is always changing. How many different things do you think should be tracked, or are there a few things that you think are the best things that should be tracked?
That's a great question, and I do believe that what you said is absolutely correct. If we over measure, it could potentially impede progress. That's my experience, having been managed that way and having made the mistake of managing people that way. I think 3 to 4 key metrics, performance, items, that if I'm tracking 3 to 4 key items, those are the 3 to 4 most important items that will dictate success, that will indicate success or not success. But the key is 3 to 4. And for me, it's full transparency on what those items are and full consistency. Repetition. We all learn through repetition. So making it visible, repeating it, sharing it in every sales meeting, sharing it in every IFM or one-to-one. Really important. But 3 to 4 seems to be the right number for me.
And so what are some of those? What would be your recommendation of what are those 3 or 4 things that a sales manager should track?
So, of course, percent to total budget. Percent to budget is key. That is the ultimate goal. As a salesperson or as a sales leader, we have budgets, and the way to succeed is to hit those targets. So percent to total budget, targets and keys. I lump those together. I want to know what are the prospects, the key targets or prospects, and what key accounts are active and what key accounts are pending. So targets and keys are important. Also, new business, brand new business, whether it's key account level or not. I like to track brand new business, and which also dovetails into non-returning business. So that's important. And then with the various, the focus on digital or live events or sponsorship or an event, I track the revenue by product. So it's 4 items. It's percent of total budget, targets and keys, new business, and revenue by product.
One of my, and you heard me say this before, and everyone who's watching this probably has heard me say this before. One of my favorite TV shows for business is The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. And I know Marcus watches this live cast often. So maybe he'll comment if he's watching right now. But one of the things that he says on every episode of The Profit, where that's where he invests his money and turns around a business or attempts to turn around a business. And sometimes he's successful and sometimes he's not, but that's what is a really good thing. One of the things, the hallmarks of what he says is, as a business owner and as a salesperson, you're kind of a business owner. As a manager, you're kind of a business owner, right? You own your little operation and you're in charge of it. He says, know your numbers. Know your numbers. Yes. Anyone can tell a good story, but know your numbers and percent to total budget. Where are you with your targets? Where are you with your keys? What's your new business revenue look like? What's your non-returning business look like? By revenue by product. I mean, these are the numbers that people need to know if they're going to have success. I guess, and it would be a cause for concern as a leader, right? If they didn't know this stuff. Like, they should have this at the ready.
Without a doubt. You have to know your numbers. Otherwise, where is the path to success? And I think that goes for leaders. It goes for AEs. Know your numbers is key. And we have to know where we are to budget. Is there enough in the funnel, in the pipeline to yield the results that we need? And if not, what steps are we taking to get there? Individualized by salesperson.
Yeah. Could you imagine sitting down with a sales leader and saying, so where are you towards budget for August? And then saying, I don't know.
Right. Or there's a lot out there. It's coming. It's in the pipe.
I got a lot out there. Right. Yeah. I got a lot out there.
That's right.
We got paid on what was out there. That would be fantastic.
A lot of action, a lot of activity.
That's right. So one of the things that always comes up when you start talking about performance tracking is performance metrics and leading indicators. What's the difference and the importance of both?
So a leading indicator is what leads to performance, and so leading indicator would be how many calls, how many discovery meetings are you going on in a week, how many quality sales calls, how many businesses have you pitched, how many proposals have you pitched, and those are the indicators that lead to the performance tracking metrics that I described earlier. So basically, it's a path to performance.
So if you're let's say someone is not hitting their budget, but you look at their leading indicators and they're strong. As a sales leader, you have confidence that they're going to get there. It's a moment in time. They're having a bad month, but they're going to get there because I'm looking at the leading indicators. I feel good. If you look at someone who's not at budget and their leading indicators aren't very strong, you're really worried. If you're looking at someone who is hitting budget, and I think this is where most people make the mistake, they look at people that are hitting budget and they don't look at the leading indicators. And then a month from now or 2 months from now, they're struggling. So
that's right.
So I think it's pretty easy to see why they're important. But what I'm interested in is, how do you all keep track of leading indicators? To walk us through that.
Sure. So we're fortunate at Townsquare to have a great CRM that was built within our company, which is great, and we can tailor it based on what we've seen lead to success in the performance tracking. So we can measure exactly those items, those 3 to 4 to 5 items that yield the results, and so we use a CRM. But prior to that, when every leader had a different system, it's as simple as it could be a spreadsheet. It could be a daily recap that's recorded somewhere else, maybe a Google Doc or something of that. It doesn't have to be a perfect system or a CRM. There are many ways to track it. So it's and the key to all of it is getting started. Where's the baseline? Where are the benchmarks? And then go from there.
Yeah. So, and I agree with you. If you're fortunate enough to work for a company that has a CRM that is customized and set up so that it's usable and that you can use it, because I know sometimes that's a concern, or those are the real problems that people struggle with. But even if you didn't, I really like that you brought that up. Even if you didn't have a CRM, you could use a spreadsheet and just track and I'll just recap because I wrote down what you said: number of appointments, number of discovery meetings, number of pitches or presentations, and the amount of and the number of businesses that you close. Right? I mean, those are really the 4 things that you should look at as your leading indicators.
Absolutely. To me, absolutely, it's clear. And I've even seen some great leaders and managers just do a stand up at the end of the day with their team and record this information if they don't have a CRM, or each account executive or salesperson would send a daily recap and simple bullet points of how many appointments did you have today, how many discover meetings did you go on today, how many pitches did you make, and how much business did you win or lose, close or not close. And it's that simple. It's a 2-minute email at the end of the day. And then that way, as a manager, there's visibility into what's happening on the streets out there.
So we have, and I wrote down notes, so I'll recap. So we have performance metrics and we have leading indicators. And so to recap, performance metrics would be things like percent to total budget, target and keys, both pending and active, what you're working with there, the new business, whether it's from targets or keys, but the new business development and your non-returning, and the revenue by product. Those would be the performance metrics. And then the leading indicators would be the number of appointments, the number of discover meetings, the number of presentations, and the number of businesses that closed one that day and that week. And how long do you think you should just set benchmarks, or should you study the data and then set benchmarks? What's your current thinking on that?
I will tell you that I used to set benchmarks, but what's more intentional and more effective, I found, which I learned from you, would be study the data. Study the data after and find out what is really moving the needle. And you can find out what's moving the needle by studying your high performers. Look at the most talented salespeople on your team and study their activity. And what we found, a few years ago, we would say everyone needs to go on 10 to 15 face-to-face calls, sales calls a week. And that will yield X amount of discover meetings and then X amount of proposals, and then closing ratio will be X. Now, what's real though, that may seem real to me as a sales manager, but what's real is that the high performers are actually we're going on more like 6 to 7 was the number, 6 to 7. And they were high quality sales calls.
Right.
When you push too high, not that you don't want to raise the bar, but when you push for 15 to 20 meetings, you will get a lot of meetings that aren't real quality. They're dropping off tickets or trade or doing something like that aren't really revenue generating.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that you and I have talked about this before off camera, where the brilliance in this, the brilliance in all of this is that looking at the whole process, the whole picture, and seeing, okay, how many of those appointments are turning into real discovery meetings, and how many of those discovery meetings are turning into real proposals, and how many of those proposals are turning into closed won business, and how much of that closed won business is renewing and coming back again and again and again. Because if a sales manager heard what we were talking about and said, you know what, I'm just going to pick one and I'm just going to focus on proposals being presented, that would be a big mistake, because what they're going to get, you're going to tell all your salespeople, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm going to count how many proposals you have and you better have a minimum of X. Then people are just going to start putting terrible proposals together and put them out the door. And what good is that? It's frustrating for clients, for salespeople. Sales manager might feel good because they can say, look, everyone's doing proposals, but to what end?
That's right.
So I like the idea of the way you put these together and using, kind of stringing it along so you can see exactly, you think about Schoolhouse Rock and you learn how a bill becomes a law, right? And it's like, it goes through here and here and here, here. Well, that's how you manufacture sales.
Absolutely.
Right? Starts with the lead and it kind of goes through. So I'm thinking that the answer is yes, we should track both. What are some of the challenges that sales managers have, sales leaders have with doing this? Why isn't everybody just doing this? Why is this an issue?
Because it's uncomfortable to start. I believe if you're not already there and you're not exposed to a linear sales process, then it can be difficult to start and feel like micromanagement, when really it is a path to success. And the great sales managers, the great sales leaders, they just get this. And I witnessed it recently. With a new manager that joined our company, and he immediately implemented his system, and his system was different from the previous system. But and it felt uncomfortable at first, because the daily notes he was sending were, hey, this is how many calls we made today as a team. This is how many CNAs we booked. Here's how many proposals, and we have some work to do for tomorrow. But tomorrow's a new day, and let's get after it. Well, after 3 weeks, it became a habit. 4 weeks, it became a habit, and the market is cranking. The flywheel is moving because he was consistent, because he was transparent, and he said this is how sales works, and I've seen it work. So come with me, and we will do this together. But I think it's the hardest part is getting started.
To kind of recap, the sales leader in that market specifically said these are the 3 or 4 things that are the most important, and he talked about them all the time. He shared with people how they were doing towards those key measures. Not in a punitive way, but a positive way of, this is what we need to do and this is how we're going. And because he's stuck with it for 3-4 weeks in a row, it's become a habit, and now people are focusing on doing those 3 or 4 things, which is generating the revenue and the sales that you wanted. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Think about how, when you shine a light as a leader on someone who books a great CNA, not just the close, let's shine a light and praise and really praise great sales behavior, which is, hey, you just found a great new product. You just identified a great new prospect, or great, you just booked an incredible CNA. Shine a light on that. Make it visible to the team, and people rally around, and then they work hard to get CNAs. They work hard to not just close business, but all of the winning sales activities. So
last question from me, and someone texted me while we were talking, so it's from them, not me. I'm asking for a friend. And I know the answer, but I want to hear you say it. So she asked, is there one specific thing that I should be tracking? What say you?
If there's one specific thing. So to me, discover meetings are that one item. Now, why? Because in order to land a CNA, in order to book a CNA, one has to identify good targets, and one has to be able to connect with that target and land the meeting. To me, it's a pivotal stage of the sales accelerator process. It's the discover. If I can book CNAs and I can conduct a great CNA, then the sales process will gain momentum and keep moving. Although if I can't do a great discover meeting or book a discover meeting, the sales process will end.
Yeah, good. I agree. I think that what I think we should say is don't track just one thing.
Oh, by the way, absolutely.
Right. Track 3 or 4 things.
Always.
Track the sales process. Be boringly consistent, brutally transparent, and praise and work more on praise when people are doing it good. And if someone's struggling, pull them aside and give them coaching, because that's what you're hired to do. You're a sales leader, right? I mean, you coach and develop people. So let's do this. If anyone wants to get a hold of Matt Keiger, they can do that by connecting with him on LinkedIn. And he shares great things on LinkedIn, so you should follow him there. And if you want to connect with him and learn more about the way he coaches and develops people, I invite you to do that. If you would like to take one of the Impact Sales Leadership courses, we have a few of them up there that are available for sample. Go to css.buzz/impact and you can check those out. I think you'll really like them. And then last is our episode next week. I'm so excited about it. So we are having our all staff meeting next week. It's the first time in 2 years since pre-COVID when all of us, all the people that work for the Center for Sales Strategy, Lead G2, and Up Your Culture are all getting together in the same place at the same time to have a meeting. And we are going to do this broadcast live from that meeting. And we're going to talk about our culture. We're going to be fully transparent and share with everyone, here's what we do. Here's how we have a virtual culture. I think many people know, but maybe not everybody, that we're a 100% virtual company. And we have an amazingly strong culture. And I know as companies are starting to deal with hybrid or work from home or what are they going to do, and they worry about that culture piece, we're going to share some of our best practices, some of the things that we do. So if that's your situation, or if you know anybody in that situation, please alert them to our live cast next week, and follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Again, if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, share. We really appreciate it. Matt, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt.
Fantastic. And goodbye, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Matt.
I've been told that the fire's old, and when stars are in light,